Hi there, welcome to another Photoshop tutorial. This is Andrei from PSDBox, and today I'll show you how I made this abstract artwork. I'll show you how I used an online application to make this kind of abstract shapes. You can see this one's here, and I'll also show you how I manipulated my lens flare stock images to get this kind of lines here, this kind of lines of light I would call them. And in order to get the final result, we'll use some general adjustments. This group contains all the adjustments that I made to get this kind of this final effect, and this is the before and this is the after. So I'll show you how to get this colors here, or try to get something similar to that. So well, let's get started. I'll skip this part of the text. This is just some details that I added in the end, but I'll give you the font that I used if you wanna do something like that to your artwork as well. The canvas size that I used for this, it's quite big. It's almost 4,000 pixels wide, but that's good if you want to print the image. Try to use high resolution canvases if you want to print your artworks. For this tutorial I'll use a smaller one, so I'll press Ctrl N to open this new window. And I'll name this Flow Tutorial, and the canvas size that I'm using for this, it's enough for this tutorial, but you can, as I said, you can use a small, bigger canvas size. Make sure the resolution is set to 300 dpi. That's for printing quality if you want to do that. So it's always good to do that. It will not increase the file size, so set it to 300 and click OK to create a new document. Well, the first thing we need to do is create our background, and we don't need this background here, so the first thing I'll do is add a gradient fill. Choose two dark colors. For the shadows I used this dark color, you have this code here. And for the highlights, first let's set the opacity to 100%. And choose another color. Like this one, and click OK. And click OK again. Set the style to radial. And you can see that we have this dark dot here, this dark spot, and just by clicking reverse we'll invert this gradient. And I increased the scale to about 300%. I know that previous versions of Photoshop can only go to 150%. I'm using Photoshop CS6, and that allows me to go to 1000%. That's a new feature of Photoshop CS6. But if you don't have it, you can do that. Well, first let's put this here. Just click and drag this here. I'll make it a bit smaller because I want this lighter part to be standing there in the middle. As I said, what you can do if you don't have Photoshop CS6 is create a new layer. I'll deactivate this one first and get this the gradient tool. Set the same colors. These are two random colors that I have, but just set the same colors. Select the radial type and just click somewhere here and then drag to one of the corners there, and you'll get the same result. Bright part is here, and you have a smooth transition there. That didn't look too nice. Well, something like this, and you'll get the same result. The objective is to get the dark background because we will need to add two textures now, and we need that black background there to interact with the textures. I'll delete the background because I don't need it, and I'll press Ctrl O to open this window and select this texture, which is the first one that I'll use for my background, and zoom out a bit and press Ctrl A to load the entire canvas. Press Ctrl C to copy it, and Ctrl W to close, and Ctrl V to paste my texture on the canvas. Notice that I didn't have to create a layer. If you press Ctrl V, it will automatically create the layer for you. And I'll zoom out a bit and press Ctrl and T to load the free transform. Zoom out. Now press the Shift key and hold it, and click on this control point and drag it to the left. And I'm pressing the Shift key because that way I can constrain the proportions so the image is not distorted, and drag it here. I want this lighter part to be on the same spot where that light part of the gradient was, more or less, because that's where the head of the girl will be, and well, that's just a composition. Change the blend mode of this texture to color dodge, and I'll rename this to texture 1, and I'll open another texture now, which is this old paper texture, and I'll do the same. Press Ctrl A, Ctrl C, Ctrl W, and Ctrl V. You can also do all of this from the menu Edit, so you can copy, paste. You can see the same keyboard shortcuts, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and to close it's Ctrl W, this one. But it's a lot quicker if you use keyboard shortcuts, so get used to that. Even though if you never tried it, it's a bit difficult at the beginning if you don't remember the keyboard shortcut, but in the end it will make things a lot faster and a lot easier for you, and it will improve your workflow. Let's name this texture 2, and what I'll need to do is desaturate it, and you can do that if you go to Image, Adjustments, Hue Saturation, and desaturate like that, and click OK. There's a quicker way of doing that. If you press Control Shift and U, you will desaturate the image without opening that adjustment window. And now change the blend mode of this to multiply, and that way we get this dark background, and we have some more texture there from that old paper. Now we have the background ready. Let's move on and add our woman model. So I'll press Ctrl O again to open this window and select the image of the model. We don't need to make any perfect selections here. I just used the quick selection tool, and it did a pretty good job on the original image that I made. Like so. I want to exclude these areas from the selection. If you want to do that, you can press and hold the Alt key and paint over the areas that you don't want to be selected. Like so. And also this part here. We will add some light effects on these edges, so it's not really important that you get a perfect selection. And let's move to this area here, select that, and also select this part here, and that's okay. And don't forget about this one here. Now I'll click this layer mask icon to mask the image, and you can see it's inverted, so press Ctrl I to invert the layer mask. Now we're good to go. I'll still have this part there, but we will mask that. And now right click on the layer mask and select Apply Layer Mask, and copy the image and paste it here on my canvas. And you can see it's really big, so I'll have to make it smaller. Like that, and zoom it a bit. And I'll place it somewhere there. Let's rename this to Woman. The next thing we need to do is create a layer mask for this woman layer. Click this icon. So get the brush tool and use a soft brush. If you don't see these brushes, just click the drop down icon there and select reset brushes. and just to reset them, and select the soft brush and increase the size a bit. Select the layer mask, and what I'll do is decrease the opacity of the brush to about 50%. I like to work with low opacity brushes because that way I can control the amount of effect. And what I'll do is mask the edges here. Something like that. Okay, so just try to blend the edges a bit, and also here on the hair, blend the hair. I'll zoom in a bit, increase the brush size. After adding the light effects, we will probably have to refine this mask, but for now just a rough masking like this. You can switch these colors if you press the X key. You can see there. If you want to bring back some of the contents of the layer, you can switch to the white color, and if you want to mask, you can paint with black. And mask this part here as well. Okay, that's our rough masking there. I'll have to reposition the woman because I want it a bit higher. Okay, and some more masking there. So now that we have the woman, let's add a new layer and make some adjustments. And the first thing I did is create a hue saturation adjustment, and I only want this adjustment to affect the woman. So what I will do is clip it to the woman layer, and you can do that if you right click on the layer and choose create clipping mask. Or a faster way of doing that is if you press the hold the alt key. If you put the mouse between the two layers, you can see that icon changes. You can clip the adjustment to the layer. And I reduced the saturation to -45. Then I added a curves adjustment, also clipped to the woman layer, and I just decreased the lightness a bit, the highlights, because there on the face the light is too strong. So what I did is clicked on this point here, you can see that there, and just decreased the light a bit, like so. Then I added another point somewhere here, and I dragged it down to add a bit more contrast. You can see the midtones getting darker, and something like that. Next I added a gradient map, also clipped to the woman layer. I chose two custom colors for this. Let's first set the color for the shadows. And now for the highlights. Click OK. The gradient map, what it does is, that's why it's called a map, it remaps the colors. On this side here you have the shadows, and on this side here you have the highlights. So what you do is set this color for the shadows, and then as you go to the highlights, the color changes. That's why the face here, which is bright, have this color, and the hair, for example, right here where you have the shadows, it has this color, and in the middle you have all these tones mixed, blue and this kind of yellow here, and that's what the gradient map does. And once you have the gradient map set, change the blend mode to hard light. That adds, you can see that contrast, and reduce the opacity to 50% because it was too strong. That way the woman blends a bit better with the background, because the background has that kind of cyan or green color to it, and you can see the woman didn't really fit there. But with this gradient map it looks a bit better, and also with the hue saturation it was too saturated, so using the gradient map without the hue saturation it's not really going to work very well. Gradient maps work well on desaturated images, so if you're using a gradient map and change the blend mode from normal to any other blend mode, it will not work really well unless you're using a hue saturation to desaturate the image. So you can see if I deactivate the hue saturation, it's not looking too nice. We can move on and we can start adding the first effects. Let's start with the stock images that we have, and after that I'll show you how I use that application to create those abstract shapes. I'll press Ctrl O again to open this window, and I'll select this fire stock image and select this part because I want these shapes here, these light effects from the fire. Press Ctrl C to copy this selected part. Press Ctrl W to close. I'll scroll down and I'll paste this image under the woman layer. What I'll do now is press Ctrl T to load the free transform and make it smaller. Again, pressing and holding the shift key to keep the proportions, because I don't want to distort the image like that. So if I press and hold the shift key, it keeps the aspect ratio. I made it a bit smaller, and I'll put that here and change the blend mode to screen so that I get rid of the black background. And I'll have to zoom in a bit. And even changing the blend mode to screen, you can still see some of the background there. You can see the edges. So in order to fix that, just press Ctrl L to open the levels, or go to Image Adjustment, Levels. Use the left slider to increase the shadows. You can see how that disappears. Like that. And click OK. Now use the move tool to move this around, and I can still see some of those edges, so I'll press Ctrl L again and probably change the midtones. Let's see, the shadows, and click OK. And now you can move this around, and you can rotate it like so and place it here. And if you want more color, you can press Ctrl U to load the hue saturation and increase the saturation a bit. And what I'll do is press Ctrl V to paste that image again, change the blend mode to screen again, and I do this because I want another one but a bit bigger than the previous one. I'll place it somewhere here. Let's try flipping it, see maybe we can get another distribution of those lines there. Otherwise it will look like it's duplicated. We don't want that, we want some variation. Okay, something like that. I don't like this line here, so I'll press the E key to load the eraser and get rid of that. And press Ctrl L again to load the levels and increase the shadows a bit. And click OK. And that's how I add those fire effects there. And I want to get rid of that. Well, let's leave it there. Now that we're working with the fire, we can add that fire there as well. So let's do that. In fact, I'll paste the same image. Let's group this and call it hair fire. You can group layers if you select them and press Ctrl G. Now I'll create a new layer, paste again the same image. I'll move it here, make it smaller. I'll have to drag it above the woman layers, so above all these adjustment layers. Zoom in a bit and change the blend mode to screen again. Place that there, and I'll leave it there. I will not rotate it because you can see it follows the same line as the clothing. So the only thing I will do is press and open the levels and just increase the shadows again to get rid of that background edges. Click OK and create a layer mask for this, because what I want to do is make it look like this fire is getting it's coming from under this piece here. So I'll get the brush tool, use a fairly hard one and decrease the size. Just mask this, but make sure the opacity and the flow are to 100%. So decrease the size where needed. Switch colors to make sure I get the edge right. Like that. Okay, so now we have the fire there. We'll add some light effects here, so don't worry, it's not looking too nice now maybe, but we will fix that. So once you have that, let me show you how you can add those abstract shapes that I was talking about. First, I'll open the ones that I made myself, and I'll start with this one maybe, or this one. These are really high resolution. It's 3000 pixels, as you can see. I'll just select the entire canvas. I'll show you how to make this kind of shape, but I want to place this one first. I'll copy that, and I'll go above the woman. Let's rename this to bottom fire, and let's paste that image that I just copied, which is this one, and let's move it up here. I'll have to make it smaller, but first I need to change the blend mode to screen. Press Ctrl T to load the free transform, make it smaller. Again, pressing and holding the Shift key. And I'll place it here. So what I was trying to do here, well, what I wanted to do is create some sort of flowing shapes to kind of blend them with this clothing here and make it look like it's floating there or something like that. And I also tried to keep the same colors. So you can see this part here is blue and this one is red, and that's the kind of thing I wanted to achieve. I wanted to blend this kind of light effects with the dress there, and I used this effect. What I'll try to do, it's just flip it and see maybe I can find a better position for this, but no, I like it like that. And what I'll do is name this blue shape. I'm not really good at naming layers, so maybe you can do better. But anyways, let's move on. I'll select the brush tool. I created that layer mask for this blue shape layer. I'll use a soft brush and increase the brush just a bit, like so. And I'll mask this part here. First, make sure you switch to black, and just blend that with that dress and with the body, using this soft brush. And that's how I added this kind of shape here. Now let me show you how I created this shape and how you can create your own. There's an application called the Flame Painter, and if you go to the internet, go to this web address, which is escapemotions.com, or just Google Flame Painter, you get to this website. And on this website you can click this link, which is try online, and this new window opens. Let's wait for the page to load. And this is the Flame Painter. What you do here is just have this window here where you can paint your shapes. Just click and drag and you can create shapes like this. And from here on the bottom you have a few settings. So I use this tool to create those shapes, and once you create your shape you can click save, and you have to wait for the image to be generated, and it will open in a new window. So this is my rendered image, and you save this image on your computer and open it in Photoshop, and you're good to go. What I did is I purchased the full version of this application, and because you can see the quality is not really the best in the world, but anyways, what I did is I purchased the full application. It's $14 and it's really good. You can create images really high resolution, and I created 4,000 pixels images and have a lot more settings. So just create a few shapes with that tool, or use the ones that I give you, and just place them here, and you can add as many as you want. The important thing here is just trying to adjust them and try to follow the same lines as the clothing of the woman, or just follow her body. That will make it look a lot more natural and a lot pleasing to the eye. Let's open another one. This one, for example, let's see where I can fit this. I'll paste it here, and I'll change the blend mode to screen to get rid of that background, and I'll have to make it smaller because you can see it's huge. And let's see where I can fit this on my canvas. So press Ctrl T to load the free transform, and now just try flipping the image and rotating it. Just try to find a good spot for it, and I think I can place it there. Let's flip it vertically. It's obvious that I will not end with the same result as on the original image, and that's quite impossible because I don't even remember the shapes that I used and where I placed them. Place it here because I have that curve there, which follows the dress, and I'll probably use the hue saturation because I don't like this blue color, and maybe trying a different color. I'll check colorize because I want the entire shape to have the same color. So I checked colorize, and now change the color to match the dress. Okay, and I'll create a layer mask just as with the blue shape. Select the brush tool and use a big soft brush. It's important that you use a big soft brushes to make these shapes blend. You can see that. Looks like it's coming from that dress itself. That's why soft brushes are important. And let's open yet another one. This one, for example. Copy it. So probably most of the time you'll spend it trying to fit these shapes here, try to make the image look natural. But it's funny. Flip it vertically. Maybe let's see if I can fit it here somewhere. I don't really like how that looks. Let's leave that there. rotate it like so, and I don't know, I don't really like how it looks, but I'll place it. I don't like to leave it like that because it's not looking good. That one goes to that direction, this one is going down, it's not looking too nice. So I'll probably leave it like that. But of course you can use the warp tool, so right click and choose warp, and you can adjust this to fit the image. Don't distort it too much because you'll lose quality, but you can adjust it to fit your image like that. Click OK, and I have to use the layer mask again. Get the brush tool and just paint that part. And now we have another shape there. Let's add another one here on the bottom. And I'll try maybe this one. And paste it on top of those. Change the blend mode to screen. So you can see it's the same process. And let's see where I can put this. I'll leave it bigger like that, and what I'll try to do is use the distort filter. So I'll go to filter, distort, and choose polar coordinates. Let's see what we get with that. Make sure you have a rectangular to polar. We get this kind of effect, but I have to make it smaller. Maybe I can fit it somewhere here. Vertical. Well, we can place it there. Create a layer mask and blend the edges like so. Put that there, maybe rotate it just a bit like that. Of course you can change colors pressing Ctrl U, maybe try different combinations. Even though that's the blue side, so to say, you can try small variations like that. Increase the saturation a bit. Yeah, let's leave it with this cyan color. This kind of green, and I still see that part there. Let's open another one. So you can see it's really not that difficult. Just add the shapes here. Let's try with this one. Well, I think you already got the idea, so it's not really that complicated. Let's put that there and just use the warp tool because I want to stretch it there that way. Try flipping it, see how it looks. And now just use the brush tool again to mask that part. Also this part here. Like so. Well, let's leave it like that. And you can also add some of those shapes here on the front side. So I'll probably use this one. Paste it on top there. Change the blend mode to screen again. And I'll make it smaller. So this shape follows her body like that. And as I said, you can use the warp tool if you want to adjust it more. But what I'll need to do is increase the saturation a bit so the colors are more visible. Again, I'll use the layer mask and mask this part. I'll rotate it a bit and use the hue saturation because I want a single color. So I'll check colorize, increase saturation, and use a similar color to her dress. Okay, so that's how I added all this kind of light shapes, and let's move on with some light effects. What I did is use my lens flares, and there's a pack that you can download on my website, a pack of lens flare that I made. I'll give you you'll have the links there on the stock folder. You have a document, a text document with the links to the stock images that I used for this. And I used one of the lens flares that I used from the pack is this one. So the first thing I'll do is paint this with black because I don't need it. Copy it, and I'll paste it here. Change the blend mode to screen again. You can see the screen blend mode. It's I use it very often, and I'll make it smaller. Put it there, and what I did is I'll make it even smaller than that. What I did is use the warp tool because I adjusted this light effect to the hand, to the elbow there. So right click and choose warp. You can also use the puppet warp, but I don't really like it. I don't know why I don't like that. So very often it's really useful for making abstract organic shapes and things like that, but I don't know, I don't really like it. And it's a lot quicker to use than this one, and also a lot easier. I'll just show you that in a second with the next lens flare that I will add. But for now I'll use this one and warp again. Okay, so that's one flare that I added. I'll paste the image again and make it smaller. Put it there, change the blend mode to screen, and this time let's add it here, but let's change the colors. So press Ctrl U to load the hue saturation. You can try different colors. Let's try this yellow one. Press Ctrl T to load the free transform and rotate it like that, and let's try that puppet warp as I said. If you're using Photoshop CS3 or CS2, I think this tool is not available. Just go to Edit, Puppet Warp, and if you don't see it, it's because your Photoshop version does not have that tool. Just add a few points, click and drag like that, and you can adjust that however you want. I want to adjust this to the woman's back, so I have to curve it like so, but okay. Let's add another point there, another point there, and something like that. But as you can see, it has that, it's not really curved, and that's why I don't like to use it, and I prefer to use the warp tool and just squeeze the image using these points here. A bit of practice is required with this tool until you learn how it works. Okay, something like that. We got that there. I'll paste the image again, change the blend mode to screen. And let's use another color, this one for example. paste it on my canvas. Change the blend mode, and well, let's see where we can put that. I can put it here, for example. So I'll use the warp tool again to distort it. Let's place it there. I'll have to mask this and the end, that and on the left side, like that. And we will add more colors and more light effects here, but first let's add this lens flares. And let's open yet another one, which is this one. Make it smaller first. Let's add one here on top. And choose the warp tool and do the same. Okay, we have that one there. You can, using the arrow keys, you can move it around, and I'll have to mask some edges using a smaller brush size, and I have to mask those edges. And I would like to change the color as well. Let's make it red if we can. Something like that. And well, the more lights you add there, the better it would look. Let's add another one there, and let's then move on, because I think you got the idea already. Let's choose this other flare, and what I'll do is just copy this part and paste it here. Change the blend mode to screen again. And another way of distorting these flares is, if you want to get more random results, is going to filter, distort, and you can choose wave, for example. Just drag the scale, make it smaller, and increase the wavelength like that, and also the amplitude a bit. And you can see here on this preview how the image will look, and it can adjust it for you without using the warp tool. And now we just have to find a place for this, and of course you can use the warp tool now if you want to further adjust this. Let's add it maybe here like that, but trying a different color. Let's find another place for it, because I don't like it there. So as I said, I'm not going to get the same result as on the original, because it's quite impossible, and I'm not even trying to get the same result, because that's why I like this kind of editing, because you can get different results every time. Let's add that there. Let's see if another color looks nicer. I'll probably make it blue and put it here. Like that. And I'll just duplicate that and place it here because I can see it fits that shape. And use hue saturation to match the color there, like so. That's how I manipulated all those flares. And let's add more details. Let's add some dust particles. I used some images from a pack that I made myself, just photographing some flower particles. You can see them here. And again, I'll paint this credits logo, copy the image, paste it on my canvas. This is also really high resolution, so I'll have to make them smaller. And again, change the blend mode to screen, so we only have those particles there, and flip it horizontally because I want to put that here on the hair, and I have to make it smaller still, like that. And you can see that hard edge there. I don't like it, so I'll create a layer mask for this. Let's name the layer dust, and I will use a brush tool, a soft brush, to just blend those hard edges. If I change the blend mode to normal, you will see the effect. Let's go back to screen. And you can do the same on the bottom part, opening the particle 12 image. Paste it there. Or maybe you can leave it like that and change the blend mode to screen and see how it looks. Oh, the particles are too big for my taste, so I'll make them smaller and place them here. Switch horizontal, and have some particles now on the bottom part as well, but we need to mask the hard edges there. You can see if I turn it on and off, you can see that hard edge there. We don't need that, so use a big soft brush to mask the edge. And we're almost there. Let's add more light effects using stock images. I used these 3 stock images. I also have a pack of bokeh effects. If you want to download that from my website, you can find it on the stock section. Let's open this one. This is free from the internet. I'll give you the links to the author, so if you want to download more. I think they have more packs like this. But what I'll do first is group all these lens flares, and I'll rename this distorted flares. That way I have a bit more space on the palette. And I'll paste those colored lights under the woman layer. So press Ctrl V to paste that. I think it's too big. We'll see. Change the blend mode to screen. Yeah, it's kind of big. I just want that effect here on the top part of her body. Place that there. I don't like that light. Probably something like this. And you have to create a layer mask for this because you can see those hard edges there. So just mask, decrease the opacity of the brush a bit, and just mask some of those edges. And you can also use the hue saturation adjustment to make the colors a bit stand out a bit more, and maybe change the hue. Well, I like the original, but I'll have to spin it a bit because I don't like those colors there. That looks a bit better, but we'll have to change the mask of the woman, so I'll get the brush tool and use a harder brush. Select the layer mask of the woman and just paint back some of the hair. Like that. And now we'll have to move these lights a bit. Like so. Maybe rotate them. So it's just a matter of placing the right colors where you want them. Oh, I like this. Oh, that's okay. And let's open the other stock images. There's 2 other stock images, and copy them and placing them, but this time above the woman layer, and change the blend mode to screen again and make it smaller. And what I'll do is create a layer mask for this, but I only want to have those lights here on this part, so for this part we'll use the other stock image and we'll mask it, but let's do this one first. Increase the brush opacity and just leave the smaller lights. And let's open the other one. I think it's this one. I'm not sure. Yeah. And again, change the blend mode to screen. Have to make it a lot smaller. And I'll place it here. And use the levels because you can see those hard edges. See that? We need to fix that. And we can use that same technique using levels, so press Ctrl L to open the levels and increase the shadows until those edges go away. And now I can position this wherever you want. I want some of those lights to have them there on the hair. Create the layer mask and just mask the bigger lights. Just want, oh, I like that there. Just want some particles of light there. And now I can duplicate this and put them down here, like so. That way we have some light particles. I'll group them and show you the before and after. So before and after. It makes the image a bit more interesting. Also, it's really easy to add too much effect, so don't charge the image too much because it's not going to look nice. But make sure the face stays clear, so mask the light effects on the face. We don't need that there. Okay, so now we have all these light particles. Let's move on to the final adjustments. And for the final adjustments I used 3 adjustment layers. The first one is the gradient map. So add a gradient map adjustment and choose this default gradient. If you don't see this gradient, just click this icon here. You'll find an icon there, and from this drop down list select reset gradients and click OK. Click OK and change the blend mode of this to color and reduce the opacity to about 10%. You can see the effect that we get. And now add a color balance adjustment on top of the gradient map, and from here you can really change the image and make with this adjustment you can make the image look however you like in terms of color tone. I always start with the shadows, and these are the values that I used. So I used -24. Add more blue on to add more cyan on the shadows, then 2 to add a bit more green on the shadows, and -10 to add more yellow, and you can see the effect there. Later we will see, after adjusting the 3 channels, we will try deactivating the preserve luminosity and see how that works. For the midtones I set -11 to add more cyan, -8 and +1. And for the highlights, +21, 8 and 3. And that's how I got this effect. I'll show you the before and after. So we took some of that redness and add more cyan and more blue. If I deactivate the gradient map, the image looks too green, so we still have some green there in the background, but the image looks a bit more contrasty, and the skin looks a bit more yellow. And well, that's the effect that I got. You can change that those settings there and get the color tone that you want. Next, I added a color filter, a photo filter, sorry. Set this to orange, and the density is set it to 46%. And set the opacity blend mode to multiply, and the opacity to 10%. And the problem that I see here is that the image is a bit too dark. There's too much contrast here, so you'll have to adjust the settings depending on the result that you get. I think that's because of the background. What I'll do is under this adjustments, add levels, and probably make the midtones a bit brighter, just to bring back some of the light there, and probably decrease the highlights a bit, because the highlights on the face were really burnt, you can see there. So I'll decrease the highlights just a bit, and I increased the midtones just a bit as well, so you can see before and after. So that depends on the effects that you get. You might have to use levels or curves or something to adjust the contrast. And as a final effects for the light, I created two new layers. The first one is, I named it screen colors, and I just got the brush tool, use a really soft brush and increase the size quite a bit, something like that. And the size depends on the canvas size that you're using. And now I just painted some light effects around the woman. Using the screen blend mode, you'll have to use some darker tones, because otherwise it will not look good. And just don't forget to change the blend mode to screen, by the way, because that's why I called it screen colors. And just paint some colors like that. Now the colors that you choose really depend on your skills and your experience, because some color combinations don't really work well. For example, this orange looks nice to me, but it also depends on the taste, of course, so you can do whatever you want as long as you like it. And just add some blue there, but I still want even darker tones, because we will add another layer with the color dodge blend mode, and that will make the images even brighter. So we just need a subtle glow of light, something like that. Let's make the dress there a bit more colored using the red color, and something like that. Some purple around here, and maybe some green as well around here. Well, I would like maybe some orange there rather than green. Of course, you can change the brush size and try different colors on some places and see how it looks. That there, and some yellow. So you can see that I'm constantly undoing. I just try different places for these colors and see which one works. I made it just a bit darker and see if that works there. Well, let's leave it like that. and create that other layer and name it color dodge lights. Change the blend mode to color dodge. This is the same technique that I used on that other tutorial of the kissing couple. That was really colorful and really full of light effects, and I used the same technique there. And the difference between these two layers is that with the color dodge you get brighter lights, and if I click again, I'll choose a brighter tone, and I'll click here just so you can see. It just kind of lights up the colors. Try that there, make the brush bigger, and try the green color there, and some red around this area here, and maybe some cyan around this part, and let's try some yellow as well. Something like that, and maybe one there is not looking nice there. Well, that's how I added those colors. They'll let me group them so you can see the before and after. Before and after. And maybe it's even too strong, so I'll decrease the opacity of the group just a bit to 75%. So well, this is the final result. I hope the tutorial was not too difficult to follow. As I said, there's the final result depends on your taste and depends on how much time you spend on the details, especially on this flares. Try to follow these edges and add, try to illuminate all these edges. You can also use the brush tool to paint light effects on the edges. But that's that's basically how I got this result. I hope you liked the tutorial. If you have any questions, you can post a comment. Until next time, this is Andrei from psdbox.com. Thank you for watching and see you next time.